If you're looking to move to Thailand as a digital nomad, an expat, or an online business owner, then this video will give you the most complete guide on the internet on visas, on how taxes work, which visa option is right for you, and everything else that you need to know if you are looking to move to Thailand as a foreigner. So I recently spent quite a lot of time in Thailand in a lot of different locations, and I've been spending time around Asia, sort of exploring my different options. So basically, I have done a ton of research, read about all the visas, spoken to actual professionals who have all the details. So in this video, I'm basically gonna just give out all of the research that I have done to you in this package format, so you have all the details that you need in this video. Everything in this video will be based on either the law and or direct words from actual professionals who I've spoken to. So with that, let's dive in. First, let's talk about why Thailand. Why is Thailand such a popular country for expats? Well, generally, Thailand is the kind of place that sort of has the perfect sweet spot between being affordable, but at the same time being extremely developed, offering great weather, and just offering the kind of lifestyle that a lot of people really like. There's obviously a lot of cheap places in the world. You could move to a country in Africa, but that country is probably not going to be very safe. It is certainly not going to be developed. It's not really going to be conducive to the kind of lifestyle that a Western expat is looking to live. Thailand offers pretty much all the perks of a developed country without most of the downsides. It doesn't have the crime, it doesn't have the agenda, the sort of political upheaval that is happening in a lot of the Western world, the sort of things that people are usually escaping. And Thailand is at the same time extremely affordable. You can live a pretty good lifestyle in Bangkok, for example, for like 2,000 bucks a month or something like that. So it's very understandable why a lot of people are going to Thailand and why I am also considering it as a secondary base. Now, of course, there's many other options, and my main residency, my main base will remain in Dubai. On this channel, I talk about Dubai a lot. But for a lot of people, let's say you're just starting out as a digital nomad, your income isn't that high, then Thailand is probably a really great option that I would recommend to a lot of people. Let's say you're making less than $7,000 a month or something like that. And another pro with Thailand is just the practicalities of moving there. It offers a lot of visa options for pretty much every type of scenarios, and they have some new visas coming out, some new changes that people are really excited about. So with that said, let's go in order through all of the visa options that you have in Thailand, because there's quite a many of them, and depending on your situation, a different visa will work better for your purposes. The first one is going to be the simplest one, and it is a simple tourist visa. So in Thailand, historically, they've only been offering a 30-day visa exemption for most countries, but they've just increased it to 60 days. So basically, for passport holders of several countries, you can now enter Thailand visa-free for up to 60 days, which is pretty great. But there's 2 months that really offers you a chance to like check out the country, see if you like it, things like this. And for someone who's like a digital nomad, you're like roaming around different places, this might be all you need. You might just check it out for 2 months, then go to Indonesia or go to Vietnam or wherever you're going next, and sort of use that 60 days every single year as a sort of mini base in the world. Or what a lot of people also have been doing historically is doing visa runs. So you do the visa exemption, then you leave the country for 1 day, you go back in. Although what I'm hearing is that these days they are a bit more strict about that, because obviously that's kind of a gray area. You're not supposed to just use these tourist visas to live in the country long term. So I wouldn't recommend this as a long-term solution, but definitely, first off, if you've never been to Thailand, certainly simply use the tourist visa to check out the country and things like this. But in terms of the actual more legitimate longer term visas, the first one I want to talk about is the Thai Elite or the Thailand Privilege Visa. Now, this is probably the most unique and most interesting visa in the entire world out of like any country, because like no country offers anything like this. What it essentially is a long-term, like a full-on resident visa of Thailand that you can get for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, depending on the package that you choose. The upside is that you get full residency. You can live in Thailand, no questions asked, for that entire period. You do have to apply for an extension every single year if you're staying more than 1 year in Thailand, but that is simply a formality. And what you do have to do is what's called 90-day reporting. So every 90 days, you have to report your address to the Thai authorities if you're living in Thailand with this visa. But with this visa, you can just appoint an agent from the Thai privilege team to essentially do all of this for you. So that is not an option. And with this visa, you basically get a ton of these super luxurious benefits. You get expedited immigration. You get like these points that you can redeem for like discounts at hotels and like restaurants and all these kind of things. You can check out all of the details down below in the description. But the downside of this visa is that it is also extremely expensive as far as visas go. So if you just look at the details here, we can see the different packages. We have the gold membership, platinum, diamond, and reserve memberships, and the prices start at 900,000 Thai baht, which is approximately 25,000 US dollars. So this is a 5-year visa, and they go up all the way to 5 million baht, which is around 138,000 US dollars for the 20-year reserve membership. If you're looking to make Thailand your long-term base, your long-term home, that might very well be worth it because it comes out to around $5,000 a year. If you're making $200,000 a year, that's not really a big deal in the grand scheme of things. But if you're just looking to have Thailand as an option or like a place where you stay a couple of months a year, then there's probably going to be better visas for you, and we'll discuss those later in this video. But essentially what this is, it's a multiple entry visa, so you can come and go as much as you want. You can stay 1 year per entry with this option to extend that I mentioned. You get this premium lane immigration. So what I've heard is basically what this means. You get a special lane in immigration where you go through, so you don't have to walk with all the peasants through the normal immigration. You get like a Thailand privilege team that will greet you. There will be like a lounge and like all this crazy stuff. It's pretty cool. You get this elite personal assistant, annual health checkups. I think you even get health coverage included in this visa, which is a good benefit because with a lot of the other longer term visas, you're going to need to have health insurance, which is going to cost you perhaps an extra $1,000 a year. So that straight away takes away from that $5,000 a year that you're paying. So it is a very expensive visa, and what is expensive to you will of course depend on how much you have, how much you're making. So straight away, if you're looking at this and you're thinking there's no way I would pay 25 grand for a visa, then obviously this is not going to be the option for you. But if you have $2 million in the bank, then probably this is going to be a pretty good option because this is very easy. You just pay for it, you go through the process, you send the documents, and now you just have a 5-year or 20-year, whatever residence permit in Thailand. So I will leave this link down below. It's an affiliate link with Siam Legal, who are the agents, the advisors that I've spoken to, who I am going to be using if I end up getting one of these visas, and they gave me a referral link. So if you're interested in one of these visas and you want to also support this channel, you can use their services down below in the description. It's no extra cost to you. By the way, a big caveat is that you have to pay the entire fee in one payment. You cannot do like an installment plan or anything like that. So you need to have that minimum $25,000 that you're going to pay straight away. You're not paying it annually or anything like that. So that is good to keep in mind. The processing time should take a maximum of 6 weeks from the date when you send the application. And once it is processed, your visa will start immediately on that day. So that is good to keep in mind. And people will ask like, are you allowed to work on this visa? And I spoke to these people directly, and what they said is you are not allowed to work in a Thai company. You don't have a work permit to like start a business in Thailand, work for a Thai company directly, but you are allowed to basically run an overseas business. You are allowed to work for an overseas employer. That is fine. Now, this has been sort of a gray area with this Thai elite visa, and they haven't said it directly, but essentially, even in a lot of the marketing materials of this Thai elite visa, they basically advertise this visa to digital nomads, to people working remotely. So almost certainly it is completely fine for you to run a business that is registered outside of Thailand or work for a company registered outside of Thailand. That is going to be completely fine. In terms of taxes, now we'll talk about taxes later on in this video, but Thailand has a simple rule of 180 days. If you spend less than 180 days in Thailand, you are a tax non-resident, you're not taxable. If you spend longer than that, then you do become a tax resident. So who is this visa right for? Well, it's right for you if you have the money for it and you're willing to spend this money on it. This is going to depend on how much money you have, and probably if you're looking to make Thailand like more of a plan A, like a more full-time place. If you're looking at it as like a secondary base, then perhaps there's going to be better visas for you. And the next option, that's also a more long-term visa, is called the LTR visa. Now, this is essentially for specific categories. So if you look at what this visa is, it is a 10-year visa aimed at attracting high potential foreigners who wish to relocate to Thailand on a long-term basis. It's a 10-year visa in Thailand, uninterrupted. So basically a 5-year visa that can then be extended for another 5 years. You also get fast tracking immigration, things like this. You have to do the 90-day reporting. and you get a flat tax rate of 17% if you do actually become a tax resident in Thailand, and you can read all the other details down here. Now, who is this for? 4 categories for this, and basically these categories are quite restrictive, so this visa is only going to be for specific people. The first one is wealthy individuals. So if you have assets of a minimum $1 million and an annual income of $80K for the past 2 years, and you also are willing to invest $500,000 on Thai government bonds, foreign direct investment, Thai property, or any combination thereof. So I would say probably if you're this wealthy, you're probably going to prefer the Thai elite visa anyway, because you're probably going to value those benefits and the fees are not going to be that much for you. And with the Thai elite visa, you're not going to have to invest 500K in Thai government bonds, property, things like this. But that is the first category. The second one is wealthy pensioners. So if you are a retiree age 50 years or older, and you have a passive income of at least USD 80K a year, and you may be eligible if you have between 40 and 80K a year if you invest a minimum of 250K in Thai government bonds, property, things like this. And income from employment will not be considered, so it has to be like passive income. So that is another option. Work from Thailand professionals, so basically remote workers earning at least 80K a year for the past 2 years. So you might think that this actually includes a lot of people, but the big caveat here that is going to exclude most people is that the employer has to be a public company listed on a stock exchange, or a private company that has been in operation for a minimum of 3 years with a combined revenue of at least $150 million for the past 3 years. So basically this is only going to apply to you if you work for a very big company overseas. So you cannot just work for your own company. Well, maybe you have a company making 150 mil, but in most cases you can't just work for your own company and qualify for this visa, which is a bit of a bummer. And you need to have 5 years of experience in the field, and you have highly skilled professionals if you are working in Thailand. So this is basically not going to apply for that many people. So basically, who is this visa for? Well, if you qualify for one of these categories, basically I would say if you work remotely, let's say you are a software engineer working for Google and they allow you to work from anywhere in the world, you could qualify for this under these work from Thailand professional categories. But for most people, especially the kinds of people who usually watch channels like this, you're just not really going to qualify for this. Well, then we have something very interesting that has recently been announced, which is called the Destination Thailand visa. So this Destination Thailand visa is very interesting. It's sort of the last piece of the puzzle in the Thailand visa sort of landscape. Previously, there's a lot of these options that are like very long-term visas, like the LTR, the Thai Elite visa. But for the kinds of people, let's say you're a digital nomad, you make like an okay amount, you make like 10K a month, and you're like looking to have Thailand as a sort of a part-time base or something where you spend a couple of months of the year. They didn't really have an option for those kinds of people, and this Destination Thailand visa seems to be sort of filling that gap. So what is this? What it essentially is a 5-year visa that allows you to stay in the country for up to 180 days every single year with multiple entries. So you can again come to the country, have it as your main home for 180 days, but if you want to go and visit Vietnam in between, you can do that. But the thing is, it is also extendable at least one time, as far as I'm aware, for another 180 days. So at least one of those 5 years, you could live in Thailand the entire year with just this visa. Now, it is still not quite clear whether you can just do that every single year. It is not quite clear whether after the 180 days, you can just leave Thailand and then just come back and get another 180 days. As far as I know, you can, but this is very new, so we don't have all the details on this. I will leave all the details below for you to read about this, and I will update it as sort of news come out about this visa. Who is eligible? Well, basically, most people are going to be eligible, and this is directly targeted at digital nomads, freelancers, remote workers. It's also targeted at people who want to come to like Muay Thai courses or Thai cooking classes. The only requirements is that you must be 20 years old, no visa overstay history in Thailand, at least 500K Thai baht in liquid assets to prove that you can support yourself, and that will equal around perhaps $13,000 or something like that. Hopefully you have that on your bank account, and the fee is very, very nominal. It's basically just 10,000 baht, which equates to around $273 as of today's exchange rate. So this is something that is going to be a very good option for a lot of people, something that I'm definitely going to be looking at personally, because you can literally just have Thailand as a home for 6 months. And again, because you're not staying over the 183 days, you know, you don't become a tax resident, and then you can just go and spend the other 6 months somewhere else, and then just do that every single year for this 5-year period. Or you can even extend this with the extension as far as they're possible. But very interesting to see what are the final details and everything like this. So these are the main options. Then there are other options as well. You have the education visa that is meant for people who are like coming to study in university and things like this. But there's a bit of a loophole, because you can also get this visa if you're just coming to say do Thai language classes. Like you can enroll on a Thai language school, and with that enrollment, after you pay the school fees, you can get an education visa to live in Thailand, basically for the duration of your studies. So what I've heard a lot of people do is they essentially just enroll in Thai language classes, and with that visa they just come to live in Thailand. Now the thing here to understand is that you do actually have to attend these classes. What I've heard is that in the past you could just enroll in these classes, not even show up, and you could have the visa, but nowadays they are a bit more strict on that. So if you actually want to learn Thai, or I think you can even do like Muay Thai school or something like that and get this visa, if you want to do that and you don't mind doing that, then this can be an option at least for a bit of time. Then obviously you have a bunch of other visas. You have the retirement visa. This is like a 5-year retirement visa. You need to be 50 years old. You need to do a deposit of 3 million baht or a deposit of 1.8 million baht alongside an annual income of 1.2 million baht. And there's a couple of other requirements. So if you're 50 years old or older, this could be an option for you. We have, of course, the marriage visa. So if you get married to a Thai citizen, alongside a couple of other requirements, you could get a visa to live in Thailand. Obviously, we all know that Thailand has one of the best women in the world. You need to be careful with them, but if you choose the right one and you get married, then great, you have this option. And then there's other things that are more obscure, like a business visa. If you actually want to establish a business in Thailand, like a restaurant, I don't know, many people watching this video will probably don't want to do that, but if you're looking to do that, there's options. A general work permit, so if you actually have a job in a Thai company, probably for a Western expat, you're not really looking to do that because the salaries are not really going to be that great, but there's going to be options. I will leave all the links down below for all the visa options. The last thing to discuss is taxes. How do taxes work in Thailand if you are a foreigner? First thing to say, this is not tax advice. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Do not listen to me whatsoever. Speak to a professional. But with that said, here is what I understand. Thailand has a very simple rule for determining who is a tax resident. If you spend more than 183 days in the country, you are a tax resident. If you spend less than that, then you are not a tax resident. So if you don't spend more than 6 months in Thailand, none of the rest of the stuff that I'm about to talk about taxes matter to you at all. I want to stress this. If you're not a tax resident in Thailand, you're not taxable on any income, and that is that. However, if you do spend more than that during the year, doesn't matter which visa you're on, by the way, then here is how it's going to work. So basically, Thailand has a slightly different tax system than most countries. Most countries, if you're a tax resident of the country, they're going to tax all of your worldwide income. If you're a tax resident of the UK, it doesn't matter if you have property in Spain, if you have investment in the US, all of that is going to be taxable in the UK if you're a UK tax resident. Thailand has a slightly different system. It has what's called a territorial system, which is now slightly changed, but we'll talk about that. So basically what that means is that only income that is generated in Thailand is taxable in Thailand. So if you are a Thai tax resident, but most of your income is, let's say, a pension that is coming from abroad, a property investment that is abroad, or any investments that are generating income abroad, that is not going to be taxable in Thailand, except there is a bit of a twist because they've recently changed it so that any income that is remitted into Thailand, so what remittance means is one of two things. If you bring foreign sourced income into a Thai bank account, that is considered you're bringing that money into Thailand, or you are spending that foreign sourced income in Thailand. So you're using a credit card, and even if that credit card is issued in the UAE, for example, that is considered that you're bringing that money into Thailand. So all of that money that is remitted into Thailand is going to be taxable at the tax rates that range from 5% to I think 35% nowadays. Previously, it used to be so that there was a loophole where basically, as long as you don't bring the foreign money, like your foreign savings, into Thailand in the same tax year when they were earned, it would not be taxed. But now that has been changed with the new rules that are coming into force sometime this year in 2024. Again, I'm not a tax advisor, I don't know all the details on this, but basically now What this just means that all foreign sourced income, if it is brought into Thailand, is going to be taxed. Now, people are freaking out about this, but really it's not as big of a deal as you probably make it out to be. Because let's say you make $500,000 a year. You have a business that is fully run overseas and is not run by you in Thailand, that is foreign sourced income, and you make 500K a year, but you only spend, and again, you can live on very little money in Thailand. You only spend $2,000 a month. You spend 25 grand a year. Only that 25 grand is taxable in Thailand, which when you calculate the tax rate on that as a total percentage of your total income, it's not going to be a very big tax rate. But the thing here that you need to be careful about is people often misunderstand what is foreign sourced income. So at least in most countries, if you run a business like my UAE based company, if I run that UAE based company from Thailand full time for the entire year, it doesn't matter if that company is registered outside of Thailand. It will still be considered to have a permanent establishment in Thailand, and therefore the income that company makes is going to be subject to Thai tax. I don't know the exact specifics on whether it works like this in Thailand, so definitely speak to a tax advisor. This has been a bit of a gray area in Thailand. At least a lot of people, certainly they're not paying taxes in Thailand, even if they perhaps should be, simply because they're not aware of it. But that doesn't obviously mean that it is legal. So speak to a tax advisor on your specific situation. If you use the services of Sime Legal, the agents down below, they're obviously going to help you with all of that as well. Now, what is my situation? Am I moving to Thailand? Possibly next year. I might make it like a secondary base, spend a few months of the year here. Out of these options, the destination Thailand visa certainly seems like the most interesting one, the most applicable to me. So I'm going to be reaching out to those same agents down below when the time comes. And in the long run, definitely some point I'd like to get the Thai elite visa if I end up spending a lot more time in Thailand in the future. But I hope this gave you a good overview. If you have any questions, you can leave them down below, and check out all the links down below on all the visas that we have discussed here. Thailand obviously has a lot of different options where you can go. You can go to Bangkok, Chiang Mai, Phuket, but specifically I recently made a video about my experience in Bangkok, the capital of Thailand. A lot of people think that it's not really a livable city, it's not the kind of place where you'd want to live, but you might be surprised about what I actually thought about it. So that video is going to be right there. You can go watch my impressions of Bangkok and whether I recommend it for expats and digital nomads. So watch that video next, check out the links below, and I'll see you in the next one.